Welcome to 6-6, the final lesson in the topic. This is going to be very similar to the last two, as it's the same process. We're just given a different portion of the problem. So as you can see, 6-6 is finding the whole when given the part and the percent. All right, we're still going to be referring to our is over of to help us out. So let's take a look at our first example. Let's go with 80% of, so this is when we do not have the whole, we're looking for the whole. So of what is 96? All right, so if we break that down, 80%. So again, we know 80% is 80 over 100. We're doing basically just equivalent fractions. So of what? So of what? We don't know the of. So of we don't know, so that means our variable, our unknown, is going down in the denominator, is 96. So we know what the is portion is. So the numerator is going to be 96. So we're just filling that in. So that's why I like doing it this way, because no matter how this is set up, you can always just plug in where needed. So it's not necessarily memorizing exactly how to find it when you're just given the percent and trying to figure out all these like 4 different equations. It's really just remembering just this one setup and just knowing what goes in which portion. So now again, like I said, the process is going to be the same. So we're going to cross multiply. 80 times x is 80x. We can't do more with that just yet. 100 times 96 equals 96 with 2 zeros. And now we just need to solve for x. So let's get x by itself. 80 divided by 80 cancels itself out. And 9600 divided by 80. So if we do that way over here, a little more room. All right, it is good to use as much space as needed to solve these problems. Notice I'm not erasing any of my work as I'm going. I'm just leaving it all here so I know exactly what I'm doing. I can go back to it later. So 80 goes into 96 one time. And we'll have 16 remaining. Let's bring down the 0. 80 goes into 160 twice. So I'm thinking 8 into 16 2 times. So 2 times 8 is 16 with that 0. Bring down our final 0. 80 goes into 0 times. That's one step a lot of us forget, is when it has 0 left over, you think, oh, 0, we don't have to do anything else. Well, you need to check that 80 does go into 0 times. Now, since there's nothing left to bring down, we're good. So 120. 9600 divided by 80 is 120. Bring down the equals. Bring down, the only thing left here is x. So if we were to write this out, 80 over 100 equals 96 over 120. So 80% of 120 is 96. So that basically means, again, using our example with taking tests and getting scores and grades on tests, if you got an 80 on a test and you knew that you had 96 questions correct, this is asking how many total questions were on the test. Or maybe in the sports version, if you make 80% of your shots in basketball and you made 96 and you wanted to find out how many total shots you took, that's how you would be solving this. So you took 120 shots, made 96 of them, so that would be 80%. So again, this works no matter what types of numbers you're given. If I was given the 96 and the 120, I'd be looking for the 80. So this would be blank. And I would have 96 over 120. I would still do cross multiplying. If I didn't have the 96, I knew 80% of 120 is what? Same thing. The 120 would be here, and I'd solve for that. All right, so we'll do one more and then finish this one up. So final one we're looking at here is another one where we don't know the whole. We're given the part. So again, 140% of what is 308. So we're looking for that total, that whole number on the bottom. So 140 is 140 over, actually, let's do this. I keep running out of room. I may as well write it way over here. So 140 over 100 is 140 as a 140% as a fraction. And now I need to figure out what I'm doing with this side. So of what? I don't know the of, I don't know the total, but I do know the part is 308. All right. Now, if I look at this logically, 140%, that is more than the whole. So in a test, that means you got maybe 40% of the bonus correct on top of the 100% you could have gotten. So my answer here is actually going to be less than 308 because 140 is greater than 100. The process is going to be the same. So I'm going to cross multiply. Let's change color. I'm going to cross multiply here. So 100 times 308 is 308 with those two zeros. And some big numbers here. So 30,800. And 140 times x is 140x. And then now I need to solve. So I need to get the x all by itself. So I need to divide by 140 to get that out of there. I need to do the same thing to this side. And once I solve this, that will give me my whole down here. So move myself out of the way. Let's get myself a little more room. So I'm doing 30,800. I'll make that look more like a comma. Divided by 140. So 140 goes into 308 two times. So 140 is almost 150, and 150 times 2 would be 300. So that's going to be 280. And I do the subtraction here, and I'm going to get 28. Now bring down the 0, and now it's looking nice and neat. So 140 into 280 goes in 2 times. Thankfully, I won't have to go too crazy with this long division. Bring down the final 0. 140 goes into 0 times. And there we go. So 220. So now I have this side of the equation solved. 220 equals, only thing left over here is x. So x right here is 220. So basically, what that's saying is 140% of 220 is 308. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. That's the final lesson in this topic. So feel free to look back at all the other ones. So there's a video for 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So hopefully those are helpful. Obviously, didn't really get into when these are turned into word problems as much. So hopefully you can apply that to those. So please ask questions if needed. Thanks.